Hi, Team 9 families. We have yet one more strategy that we are trying to show the kids to help them divide multi-digit numbers by a one-digit divisor. Still using place value. I know this looks familiar, but do not get your hopes up. Still using place value and the idea of backwards multiplication to solve these problems. So we see we have 8,235 divided by 5. So we're asking the kids, looking at the 8,000, what could we multiply 5 by to get close to 8,000? And I know 1,000 times 5 equals 500. I'm also talking about equal groups. So when we have 8,235 of something and we're dividing it, we are putting it into 5 equal groups. So we put 1,000 there, another 1,000 there, a third 1,000, a fourth 1,000, and a fifth 1,000. So that is where we get our 5,000. Now we are going to have more to pass out. This is by no means a remainder. We still have another partial quotient to do, more that we can do. Thinking of kind of friendly numbers, I know my next amount, that I'm going to be putting in the groups is going to be less than 1,000, because if I had 5,000, I would be going over, and I can't do that. I don't have enough to pass out. So I can think about it, and I can't do 3. I can't do even thousands, but I can turn these into 3,200s. I know that 6 times 5 will give me 30. And if I end up with 600 and kind of fill in those blanks with my caboose zeros, I end up with 3,000. I put 600 here, 600 in each group. And I end up with 235 more to pass out. Kind of, again, using some friendly numbers, I'm thinking, what times 5 comes close to 235? Some of the kids really struggle with that large number. So we look at the first 2 digits, or actually the first digit, and I can't do any number times 5 equals 2. But I can look at the first 2 digits and say something times 5 comes close to 20, but without going over. I know 4 times 5 equals 20. We took 0 consideration for the ones place, so we put a 0 in that ones place. And I end up with 35 because I just put 40 into each of my groups. I have one last division problem I need to do within my whole problem. And I can think, what times 5 equals 35? Well, knowing my 5 facts pretty well, I do 7 times 5 equals 35, and I subtract it down that way. So I just put 7 in each of my groups. I then need to take all of the parts of my quotient here, and I need to add them up to find my actual quotient. And if I do that, I'm going to come over here. If I do that, I end up with 7 in my ones place, 4 in my tens place, 6 in my hundreds place, and 1 in my thousands place. So 8,235 divided by 5 ends up being 1,647. To double check that answer, I need to do it backwards. So I need to think 1,647 times 5 is going to equal 8,235. Sorry. And I can do that using my area model for multiplication. So 1,000 plus 600, just breaking it down into smaller pieces so it's a little easier on our brains. I know 5 times 1,000 will give me 5,000. I know 600 times 5 is going to give me 3,000. I know 40 times 5 is going to give me 200. And 7 times 5 is going to give me 35. So I add those up. I end up with 8,235. And sure enough,